Hi, my name is Mark Hundley, and this is Live at 5. Now, if you followed any of me in any of these video broadcasts over the last year or so, you'll know that very early on I did one just about every day, 5 days a week. In fact, it was about a year ago, almost to the day, that someone, instead of, I have a tendency to do a lot of writing, so I would write and post thoughts from time to time. And every now and then, those would resonate with folks. And I remember about a year ago having a person say to me, Mark, why don't you take some of those thoughts and put them on video and share them with us? And I thought, that's an interesting thought. So I decided to give birth to something called Live at 5. And it was fun. It was a great deal of fun for me. I don't know about you, but it was fun for me. I enjoyed visiting. I enjoyed talking. I remember I'm that guy whose wife says he has more words than the average woman. And so I enjoyed talking. I enjoy that a lot. It's really been about 3 months since I last did a Live at 5. And not just in the last couple of days, I've had a couple of folks say, hey, when are you going to do one of those things again? It's kind of interesting when you kind of disappear and then nobody really knows that you're gone. Isn't that an interesting kind of concept? But a few people kind of realized that perhaps this bald-headed dude wasn't making statements on the Facebook video, the live feed, very often. And I've been thinking about since January 8th, what should I do with this thing called Live at 5? And I think today you saw that this is the final one. This is the final Live at 5. This is the final rendition of this particular, me in this particular venue for now. I think sometimes when I thought about this Live at 5 being the final one, the phrase that came to mind was, it's time. It's time, Mark. It's time to stop the Live at 5s. It's time to let go of that particular little run that you had with talking with people on the internet through Facebook and through video and putting them on YouTube. It's time to stop that. And I have to admit, there was a little bit of a reluctance on my part. There was a little bit of a sadness on my part to know that this was the time to call this the final time. But it caused me to think about the final time. It caused me to think about letting go or stopping, ending things. In life, we have a very, very difficult time letting go of things, coming to the end, knowing when it's time to stop, knowing when it's time to quit. I know you know it. You've seen television series, programs who are in a series, and you know that at about season 3, they should have stopped. But they didn't. They continued to manufacture storylines and drag the drama out. And pretty soon the shows became boring, and you thought, yeah, I'm not going to watch that anymore. And you just kind of drifted away. And then they kind of drifted away. You've seen that with television shows. You've seen it with books. You've seen it with songs. You've seen it with plays. You've seen it in relationships. You've seen it in things that you'd be doing and engaging in, and you know that there was a time that something should have stopped. Now it's tough to stop something when you're on a run, and when it feels good and when it feels right, you want to just keep going. But everything in life, everything has a place, has a point where it's time to stop. It's time to let go. It's time to move forward. It's time to change directions. It's time to stop what you're doing and do something else. It's time to pause and think and reflect and act on the insights that you have. I don't know about you, but one of the things that bugs me the most is living in regret. I so often think back on times in my life where I chose A, but perhaps B would have been better. Or I made a decision hoping that the dream that prompted that decision would come true. And when it didn't, I held on and pursued and pursued and pursued because I really believed that dream in that particular manner was to be real. And I would fail to realize that sometimes by holding on to those things that I thought were so important, the regrets, the dreams, the hopes, the desires that had become so much a part of my psyche, of my heart, of my feelings, if I had just let them go, if I had just realized that it was time to stop, it was time to adjust, it was time to feel, it was time to think, it was time to reflect, it was time to say no, or it was time to say yes. A few years ago, I was in one of those places. I had held on to a dream so long, for so many years, and worked so hard to make it happen. It's kind of like pushing a chain across a tabletop. Have you ever thought about doing that? Pushing a chain across a tabletop and working to keep that chain straight so that everything is in line? It's really impossible. You push one link and they begin to fold up, and it never flows the way that you want it to. Very often, pushing dreams beyond their time is like pushing a link chain, across a tabletop. It just doesn't work. But I remember holding on to this dream for so long, thinking that it had to have been in the particular way that I envisioned it. And I got to a place where I was really, really down on myself, down on the world, down on friends, down on people, down on opportunities. And I called a really dear friend of mine, the one person in life outside of my wife with whom I could speak and be honest and share my thoughts, share my dreams and my frustrations and my hopes. Share with him everything that I had done and was doing to make this thing happen. And he listened so kindly, so patiently, so empathically. And in the end, he kind of said something to this effect. I can't remember the exact words, but he said, "Mark, maybe it's time to put that dream in that way on the shelf so that you can see what else might be in front of you." And it resonated so deeply with me. I said, "You know what? You're right. I've been pushing that chain across the tabletop. I've been wanting to make something happen when maybe it's not time to happen. Maybe it will never be time to happen in the way that I thought it would." And what happened in that moment, in the days and weeks following that, was a real change in my heart, and a real change in my mind, and a real change in my perspective. And I began to realize that where I am and what I'm doing is part of the dream I'm living. That makes sense? Dreams change. They change with the demands of time, with the demands of presence, with the demands of the society in which we live. And the dream needs to be simplified sometimes. And for me, it needed to be simplified. It said, "Mark, grow where you're planted, but be willing to pull up roots and go to other places and do the things that you need to do the things that are called upon." And it really gave me a freedom. It gave me a freedom to be okay with not being on center stage. It gave me the freedom to be okay by being where I am and making a difference as much as I can in the smallest ways that I can. Gosh, wouldn't it be great if every single author or musician made it to center stage? Wouldn't it be great if every single story or book that a person wrote went to the bestseller list? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't it be great if we all made the best business decisions in the world and we wound up being rich beyond compare? Or that we found a way to help millions of people with a few strokes of a key? Wouldn't that be wonderful? And sometimes it does happen. But in my case, it was one of those kinds of things where I said, "You know what? I just need to be okay with being me and being where I am and doing what I can in the ways that I can. And still remember that I fight that regret." Oh, I have lots of regrets. I look back 30, 40 years and I say, wow, if only, or what if I had been able to do this or had made a different decision. But I find when I hold on to those things, when I hold on to those thoughts and those feelings and those beliefs and those dreams as they were at that time and wish that I had done something different, I realize that I have hands full that keep me from being able to receive and explore the blessings and the happiness and the opportunities at the present. I really can't do anything about what's happened. And I really can't do anything about what's going to come up tomorrow. I have no idea what's going to come up 5 minutes from now, much less next week, next month, or next year. There's no way. So what do I have to do? I have to be mindful of the very fact that sometimes the final time is the last time. It's okay. It's time to move on. And like I said, this has been fun. I enjoy being before a camera. Vanessa tells me all you need to do is put me before a camera and give me a microphone and I'll be there for hours. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But I enjoy talking with people. I enjoy listening to people. I enjoy writing about things. I have a couple of things I'm going to, probably in the next day or so. If you are interested, I'm going to put all of the stuff that I've written in the last several years on Amazon for free for 5 days. That's what I can do, 5 days at a time. So if you want to go just peruse anything that I've written, look on Amazon, Kindle, and get a free download of a whole bunch of stuff. Some short stories, some books. I'm going to put everything on Amazon Kindle for free. I do that periodically, but I just want to let you know, if you're interested in looking at something and walking inside the brain of a bald guy in Texas, that would be great. I would love for you to do that and share that information with others, because I'm going to put it on. I'll probably make it happen tonight, and then it'll happen to be live tomorrow. The other part of that is I want to encourage you. We sometimes hold on to relationships longer than we need to. In the same way we hold on to dreams or hopes or jobs or relationships, we hold on to people perhaps longer than we should. We hope that they're going to change. We hope that we can find that key, that mechanism to make them change and to be and become that which we want them to be. Sometimes we hurt ourselves and hurt those around us when we hold on too long to those relationships. And it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It can be a relationship with a business partner or an educational partner or an organization. Sometimes we have to be willing to have the courage to let go and recognize that it's met its time. This is the final one. This is the final act, the final episode, the final chapter. And there's nothing wrong with final anythings. Anytime you close the last cover of a book, finish the final chapter, there's always another book. When you've come to the end of the final episode of a favorite series, there's always going to be another favorite series out there for you to engage in. When you come to the end of a movie or a play and you wish that it could go on and on and on, recognize that there will always be other movies and other plays. When you come to the end of a relationship or a situation that you feel is eternally useful to you, and you know it's the end, have the courage to let go. Thank that relationship, that situation, that movie for what it's given to you, and turn and look toward that which is in the future. The future might be right in front of you. It might be waiting for you simply to turn around. It may be a minute or an hour or a day or a week, a month or a year ahead of you. But there's always something to look forward to. But the only way we can do it is we recognize that sometimes the final time is the last time, and it's time. It's time to do that. So here's the deal. I've been thinking, I like talking a whole lot more than simply stopping. So I'm not going to stop. I'm going to stop and I've come to the final Live at 5, but every now and then I'm going to surprise you with a Live 4-5. What that means is I'm going to come up with something at some point that I really feel is important to share, some insight that I've learned, something that I've read, something that makes sense to me, something that challenges me that I want to share with you. And I'm going to take, I promise, 5 minutes only, 5 minutes or less, and I'm going to be live 4-5 and share something with you that I hope will be useful. Never know when it's going to happen. It's kind of like, well, some of you are too young to remember Candid Camera, but the guy who walks up and says, something to the effect of, you walk up, I can't even remember what he was going to say. I'm sorry, but in the end, it says, smile, you're on Candid Camera. In other words, it's a surprise. That's what I'm trying to get to. But I'm going to surprise myself and perhaps you from time to time with some 5-minute or less insights, thoughts, things that come to me, and I'll share those. But I just don't know when they're going to happen. Guys, it's been a great run. I've had a good time this year since last April. periodically, they're at the beginning pretty regularly, and then periodically sharing Live at Fives with you. You guys, many of you have responded to me, have sent me emails, texts, even given me a call from time to time, and we've talked a little bit about the things that have happened as a result of this time together. I enjoy it. I thank you for enriching my life, for being a part of this whole process. And you just never know. I might show up one day in your stream, and I'm going to say, smile, it's Live for Five. You guys take care. Thank you. Peace.